So there are a number of workers there. We're all support workers. We all come from different backgrounds. We have different experiences there. We have some workers who are workers by experience, which means that they've had their addiction issues themselves. And with their substance use, they're now in recovery, and it's a really useful tool for Motiv8 to have people like that who understand where the complexities of it and you know where recovery has been and come from for them. And they can share their own experiences as well with recovery, with people in recovery. So that's the workers by experience. And then we have other people that have come down the academic route. I work mostly with adults who either have addictions themselves or they are people who live with people who have substance use. That's a really integral part of what we do for family and friends, but also the children that our family service support. The ripple effect of any substance use within a family home is stark. It's really noticeable, and although you might not see it at the time, people do really struggle and haven't got the guidance or understanding of how to deal with this. A lot of the time they find it, they need to understand that the things that they're doing are not necessarily helping and maybe enabling the person with the addiction. And it's our job to come in and sort of discuss what they're doing and hopefully give them some pointers with evidence-based research on how we can change the way things run at home and make it a little more comfortable for everybody under the roof.
So explain to us a bit about this one-day workshop and what that's going to look like. Where has this idea stemmed from?
Okay. If we can get more than one family member working with Motiv8, this is where we can make the biggest changes in the home or a workplace. Nevertheless, there's evidence to say that even if a person with substance use doesn't engage with support and help, if the dynamic and the approach of the family changes from them engaging in support, this can make positive changes to the home or workplace anyway, without the person with the substance use getting involved. So that's really where we're coming from with the family and friends, is that we would like to support the other people. They're the collateral damage. They really just have to keep going. They don't have time for themselves, and that's where their own well-being slips, their own self-care slips, and it's all about the person with the substance use rather than actually taking a step back and saying, well, actually, I'm important too. This is my life. This is my chance to enjoy what I'm doing, and their work can falter, their self-care can falter, their personal interests all get put to the back of the room.
And I've been fortunate enough to visit a smart recovery session before and see how that works and the dynamic that's there and all the shared experiences that people have. And it's based on that, isn't it? So what is it like when the family and friends, like you say, those people who don't have substance dependency themselves, but can share their experience with other people on the island? Because it must be quite isolating if you don't know who else is out there.
Yeah. The first thing that a lot of families do is protect their loved one. They don't want anybody to know. They keep it to themselves, so they lose their support network, and as a result they actually isolate themselves. When the people come into the family and friends groups for the first time, they're very nervous. They don't, this is the first time that they've shared that they've got problems at home with substance. So it's really empowering for them to hear that other people are struggling and other people feel exactly the same way. It might be very different circumstances. It might be feel very different substances as well. There's the issue of some people might be living with alcohol in the house, which is actually a legal substance, whereas then you've got somebody who perhaps is dealing with an illegal substance in the home, and so they feel more ashamed. They really struggle with the idea that, well, alcohol is almost acceptable. And so that's a boundary that they need to remove as well, to say, well, actually, it's a substance, whatever it is, whether it's gambling, gaming, drug or alcohol, it's all under the same umbrella and needs all the same support. And it's about being open and honest and supporting each other a little bit more in a group environment. It's a really powerful tool at making them feel less alone.
I'm told that sometimes people feel guilty about their loved one's dependency as well, and lose their own self-worth. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it is much more complex than that. There's a lot of emotion that they go through, and it's really hard to pinpoint one particular emotion that comes with addictions in the family home. There's frustrations and anger and desperation. Really, it's so complex. But yes, that can be something. People do feel guilty. They feel like it's their own fault, particularly parents. It's not a parent's fault. It's, there are so many different parts of a person's life that could be involved. There's peer pressure, there's wanting to fit in. There are so many more complexities to just the parenting side of things.
And have you seen the effect then of somebody who's been along to these sessions before, and from the moment they first walk in, like you mentioned before, to down the line when they realise they're not alone? How uplifted do they become?
Yes, people do really find security in being able to share their problems and on a regular basis coming in and sharing what's happened, but also the successes, to actually come in and say, well, we made these changes and it worked. That's really empowering for everybody else to then get on board and start making the changes too. Some people are really reluctant to change. Why should I change? It's the substance that's the problem. But actually, sometimes just the smallest tweaks on our behaviours living with people with substance use can make all the difference.
So on the 28th of November, this one-day workshop, where is it happening and what's going to take place? Okay,
so we are on Woodbourne Road, and we have a hub there. It's a big group room. It's a lovely warm space, and that's where we hold all of our groups, and we are very group-based at Motiv8. We're going to be starting the day with an icebreaker to introduce everybody and make people feel a little more comfortable. And then the day is going to be based on a workshop. So there's a lot of information there. It's going to be a real summary of the tools and techniques that we do share with group members. It's hopefully going to be group-led. So any questions that come out of it and we explore them, it's not a problem if we move away from that workshop. We can also do pieces of work. We have a lot of worksheets that we can work through if somebody wants to particularly work through one particular technique that they use, that might prove helpful. So that's going to be very intense sort of workshop based there. Then we're going to have a lovely light lunch where we're going to invite all the members of the team down so they can actually very informally have little conversations with any of the Motiv8 workers, particularly as I explained earlier, the workers by experience. Just for the attendees to question them, from their perspective as somebody who has had substance use and is in recovery.
And I don't want to put you on the spot, but those self-care techniques, is there one you can quickly explain to us?
Oh gosh, now you've put me on the spot. Change of language is a really powerful tool, taking the focus off the blame. So as soon as you use the word you, the defences come up, and that can be really quite damaging, because as soon as you've got those defences up, you can't go anywhere else, and usually an argument ensues. There's just very simple tweaks that people can use. It's not hard. One member of the groups that we had previously, we were doing one of the sessions, and it was about language that we use, and he just sat back in desperation, and I said, this is an entirely different way of talking to people, and we can be very careless with language. We can be very brutal with the language that we use. And so it was really eye-opening for him, but he really enjoyed trying them out and trying it out on other people first before they go in on the deep end, maybe just in general conversations. So yeah, there's lots of little tweaks that we can make.
And how, if anyone does want to attend this day, then how can they get involved? Where can they register?
They can email Motiv8 at contact@motiv8.im. That's MOTIV number 8, or free phone number 0808 1624 627.
And of course, if anybody isn't available on the 28th, what should they do? Should they just get in contact with Motiv8 any other time and see how they can find support as well?
Yeah, anybody can contact Motiv8 for support if they're worried about a work colleague, worried about family member. And they can just phone that same telephone number. They can email that same email and ask for one-to-one support. And if they prefer that, because sometimes a group situation can be really quite overwhelming for some people. It does take a while for a lot of our clients to actually take that first step into the group, but they get there eventually. If it's for them.
And you mentioned before, I believe, that you have some statistics. Is that regarding how many people on the Isle of Man are touched by addiction?
Yeah, this is a difficult one, but they do say 1 in 4 people are affected by addiction within the community. And so that might not be somebody using substances, that might be family and friends. So there are a lot of people out there who are really struggling on their own, and, just by having maybe one session with Motiv8 might make all the difference to them. At the end of the workshop, we're going to do a relaxation session. And this is something that we do regularly. We have 3 sessions a week, and it is a guided meditation with the option to have auricular acupuncture. This is a really lovely, quite frightening thing at first for some people if they are fearful of needles. They're tiny needles that we use, but it really does help with that mindful relaxation that we're going to provide on the day.
So just providing a moment of mindfulness, is that what it's all about?
That's what it's all about. It's really important that we take a moment, in our day to just take stock and be a little more mindful, or that conscious relaxation is really key to keeping us going.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio Newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.